31 lap green flag run right here. That's by far the longest with practice and the beginning of the race these guys have run. And you see a car spinning right there in front of Chase Elliott.
Excuse me, the 90 of Todd Bodine goes around. And that brings out the caution for the second time, just the second time.
To stretch the fuel run all the way. You see here Todd just gets down into turn 3. It looks like he gets free on entry, Jeff, and just comes around on him.
But just for a little bit, getting into turn 3, it's going to be a problem.
And around goes the 25 of Chase Elliott, also with him the 35. So as we just saw Cole Witt involved in a little bit of a scuffle. Chase Elliott also going around.
So coming off turn 4, the 34 had trouble, had to get out of the throttle, and everybody behind him just didn't get slowed up enough. That's a typical Darlington wreck. That's probably not the last time we're going to see it. It's just so hard to see in front of you here because you're turning at such an angle, and the closing rate is so high. When somebody has to lift off the throttle, you're going so fast in that part of the racetrack. These guys just couldn't get slowed up.
25 of Chase Elliott got caught up in it. Cole Witt into the inside wall here. Safer barriers on both the inside and outside walls here at Darlington. The modern technology of the safer barriers, even though the track's 65 years old.
So he got in the outside wall, then he got into the 35 and chasing the 25 car. He just could not get slowed up. There's nothing he could do.
Now, Rick, we're talking about, throwback Darlington. One thing about this weekend that's been a throwback is this tire that Goodyear has brought has been soft, grippy tire, and this track has aged since the repaint.
For the spin of Ryan Newman. And that was in the middle of turns 3 and 4, completely sideways, and then he goes all the way down to the apron, and around he goes. The caution came out.
Well, the field getting a good, long, what we expected to see at the very outset of the race. Oh, we've got number 46 looping it down into the inside, and the driver, Michael Annett. Michael Annett in trouble, the Iowa kid, 33rd.
You can see there's certainly not going to be contact, just getting loose. That's just what happens. And probably the car, you're trying to power up as much as you can right there, and just steps out. Yeah, it's what the low downforce package is kind of designed to do. You don't have that pushing down and helping you with that stability that you really want.
44 laps of green, and you saw Menard in the 27 had the right Saint.
Yeah, not exactly the caution flag at this time that Carl Edwards and Casey Kane were looking into how different the two ends are. Let's see what happens. Mike Bliss here gets down in the corner. Looks like, gosh, that's certainly looking like a tire went down there or something. Because it wouldn't turn. You see that happen a lot. The car just take off, but
a lot of movement back in the field. This is just like the cautions we had earlier in the night. The field is split. We had 9 or 10 cars decide to stay out. From about 10th on back, they come to get tires. We've had another crash.
Already, the 26, the 33. Bliss again involved in an incident. J.J. Yaley this time. Take a look at what happened.
Yeah, we talk about how narrow Darlington is. Well, this is what happens when people have issues. It collects other people because there's just nowhere to go, especially at the speeds they're running around this 1.3-mile oval.
Kozlowski once again leading laps, and around goes the 48. Jimmy Johnson coming in front of the grandstands.
So 48 on the bottom, 3 of 22 on the bottom of the 48. 48 comes down on the 22. Basically spun himself out.
We'll ride along with Denny Hamlin to see the view that he had of this spin.
Yeah, you see Joey Logano just looking for real estate. He has those fresh tires.
Just the 88, one behind him.
Jimmy turns down across really the nose of the 22. Probably had no idea the 22. While he knew he was back there, he probably didn't know exactly where he was at. He's kind of in that blind spot right off the left rear corner. And Jimmy really, to your point, Jeff, comes down on the 22.
Famous mellow yellow car has been a fan favorite this weekend. He was at a really loose car up, and now we've got Trevor Bayne who spun out, Rick.
Trevor Bayne around, and that brings out the caution for the 8th time.
Stretch like he had a flat tire. Well, maybe this is where it came from. The 3 checks up. The 6 has to get checked up, and Danica Patrick has kind of nowhere to go. Gets into the left side of the 6 of Trevor Bayne, perhaps cutting one of those left side tires.
So some damage also to the right side of the 10 for Danica Patrick.
Again, Danica held her line. Trevor Bain, I think he turned left trying to avoid the 3 car.
And then after that contact, the left side tires go down on the Trevor Bain car. Like you said, Jeff, trying to get to pit road, and with a flat left rear tire. This track is slick. Take air out of one of the tires, it's impossible.
And here she's on the bottom of the racetrack. In turns 3 and 4, goes to accelerate. Car just gets away from her. She has to chase it up the racetrack and ends up with heavy contact.
Yeah, that's a backup car. Remember, Jeff, she also had an accident qualifying, so that's the second car of the weekend for Danica. This is a tough place, Rick. The lady in black doesn't care if you're running first or running 15th. And this is how easily it can happen. You see, she's just trying to get the power down, just trying to accelerate off the corner. One wiggle, but Darlington, you're already so...
Field once again lining up against the outside wall, and around goes the 17. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. out of turn number 4, gets into the inside wall. Caution coming out again.
Obviously, he's punctured the radio. You see right here, just inside Clint Boyer. It's just so hard. Has a lot of wheel in it, Jeff. While he's trying to get the power down, it just spins around on him.
Yeah, that's a bad situation to be underneath another car, digging really hard. You have all the air being taken off the rear spoiler. On top of that, there was a little bit of contact between the 2 cars, but that doesn't help anything either. So just 2 cars racing hard on a restart. That's just a racing accident. I mean, we have accidents in racing because people are trying to pass each other and go, and a lot of times everybody wants to point the finger and say he did this, he did that. Sometimes wrecks just happen when you have good close. So this race looks like to me the kind of race is, oh, we got to spin.
Around goes.
Keep rolling straight. Keep rolling it straight.
The 16 of Greg Biffle.
Coming up.
We saw the 18 of Kyle Busch behind him. And the caution comes out for the 11th time tonight. Already sideways and way down the track was Kyle Busch.
I wonder if we talked about it all night long, how tight things are getting into turn 1. And
they were sideways.
Like that's what happened.
Yep. He came onto pit road under the most recent caution at 2:08, and Chase Elliott into the wall hard. The successor to Jeff Gordon. On the right front of that car.
Yeah, you see the 25 is already up into the wall. The left front tire is turning to the right. Even as a young driver, he understands he needs to stay up in the wall. He doesn't want to come back across traffic. And Red, that's the disappointing part of this is why is Chase Elliott in this 25 car here at Darlington?
Right rear fender, but he said, I'm telling you guys, on a scale of 1 to 10 with damage, I hit a 5.
Sideways goes Bain.
Watch the pit wall, yellow's out, small for 4 here.
Kelly.
And just
See the 6, bottom of the racetrack. Comes up the racetrack. The 5 of Casey Kane had some momentum coming. Just pulled up in front of him. Casey ran in the back of him.
A lot of right rear damage to the 6. Greg Biffle almost sliding up. Could have been 2 Roush Fenway cars involved in that one.
Now the right rear quarter panel was shoved into the right rear tire. Now the right rear tire goes down and Trevor spins.
It looked as though he was trying to get back.
And coming on fresher tires. So let the guy go. Don't race. We got to.
Car into the wall, the 55. David Reagan into the inside wall on the front stretch.
Scott loose leaving the corner, looked like. Maybe trying to make a move on Jimmy Johnson. And again, a little bit like Danica leaving the corner right there, trying to lay the throttle down. Back end just came around on him.
Well, as well, that'd be a terrific 2 races to pull off, Dave.
And Marty, as I was talking with Kevin Harvick's crew chief Rodney Children today, he was looking at that 22 car, saying they were loose. We got a big wreck on the front stretch, guys.
55 once again, David Reagan. And he brings out the 15th caution. We are closing in on that record of 17 cautions.
27. He's racing for the chase.
Side. Menard was behind him, and into the wall he put him.
Those are the type of accidents you see later in the race. That's just frustration. There's really no good reason for that. You know, Paul Menard looks like he's looking underneath him. The 55 comes down to the bottom of the racetrack. The 27, I know he has momentum, Jeff, but he has pedals in the race car. You know, he chooses to get into the back of the 55, maybe not meaning to spin him out, but at least push him, try to carry some momentum down the front stretch. It was too much. The 55 couldn't handle it.
Is this a big break for the 18 of Kyle Busch?
Well, he's definitely lost his track position, but he did stay on the lead lap. Now he's back on sequence with the leaders, but it doesn't look like all the leaders are going to pit.
And how about the Brad Keselowski up front? Top two separated by just under 2 car lengths, and around goes the 41 of Kurt Busch, trying to save it. The field slowing behind him. He slides, and the caution comes out again. We tie the record. Running third, and the 78 got in the back of him.
78 just got in there a little bit too deep. The 41 lifted a little bit early. You could see the brake rotors glowing on the 78. He was on the brakes trying to avoid him, but he just misjudged how the 41 was going to slow down.
Kyle Larson's vantage point. He also had to check up hard onto the brakes to avoid running into the back of Martin Truex Jr. Carl Edwards in the RS19 taking the low line to try to clear everyone, but a smoke screen put out by that 41 of Kurt Busch. Dave? As we get down to the final laps here, under 13 laps to go, you mentioned the new race package, and we got a spin in turn 1 and 2.
Oh my goodness.
Most cautions here in the Southern 500.
He was underneath the 48, kind of in the middle of the racetrack, and it just gets loose. We've seen that a bunch today, being loose underneath another car.
We've talked about these drivers being in these race cars for over 4 hours. Well, guess what? The pit crews have been standing there all day long. They've had a lot of pit stops, more than we normally see. They've got to be